Reforming South Africa's criminal justice system is not only a necessity, it has become a national priority, from the State Security Department to rehabilitating ex-offenders and, more importantly, integrating them back into society, with reports saying that more than 50% of ex-offenders will commit crime again upon their release. Now, this is Dream Team Foundation. It is an NGO that is working with ex-offenders, trying to empower them and give them the skills that are necessary for them to go back into community and be meaningful members of that particular community. They do farming here, as you can see, fresh produce straight from the farm, and they also empower the community and give them exactly what they need. Let's go in and find out exactly how they do this. Hello. Let me take this opportunity to introduce to you my panel today who will be helping us discuss this issue. It's a very windy day, so you'll have to excuse me and my weave as it comes to my face. So we can discuss this further. To my immediate left, we have Mr. Gerson Navari from the Department of Correctional Services and is the director of the department that is responsible for community outreach programs. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Audrey.
And to his immediate left, we have from the Age of Hope Ministries, we have Pastor Brian Maloka, who will be helping us, of course, with the morality side of the issue. Pastor, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And to his left also we have the councillor from one of the districts here. You'll explain that further to us. That's Mr. Siphiwe Monhla. Councillor, thank you for joining us.
Thanks a lot for being part of the discussion, man.
And the gist of the story today, very important. We have an ex-offender who's joining us on the panel, who's able to describe to us what entails the life of an offender from the time that they're incarcerated, from the time that they come out and are reintegrated back into society, and how it's been successful for him or not. We have Bongani Shabangu. Bongani, we appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Audrey, and thank you for this opportunity. And
of course, very important, we have our guests, our audience in studio. We'll be crossing to them in a few minutes' time. Of course, they're part of the contribution. They'll be telling us if they have any comments or questions to our panel. Let's get straight to it. We'll start with the Department of Correctional Services. Mr. Navari, your department has reassured, well, South Africa that you are well capacitated when it comes to rehabilitating ex-offenders. But reports are suggesting more than half of these people are coming back into society and they're becoming repeat offenders. Are you skilled enough? Do you have enough staff to make sure that you uphold your promises?
Thank you, Audrey, and the audience. We have made an undertaking as the department that part of the things that we are going to be doing is to ensure that those who came through our centers must go back and contribute to society as a normal citizen. And we've done that by making sure that as soon as they come to our centers, they are taken through different programs. Some of them we take them through skills development, those who came with a low level of skills. Some of them we take through the process of what we call spiritual upliftment through our spiritual care programs. Some of them we even went to an extent of allowing them to pursue their own degrees to ensure that immediately when they go out of our centers, they go back and plow back to communities and make sure that all the things that they have done before, which we call them an offense against society, don't repeat those things, because it's in the interest of justice that all those who have offended against the state are rehabilitated and make sure that they come back to society and contribute meaningfully to the economy of this country. We have capacity as the department. We have been doing that. Safe to say that there are some who are really incorrigible, but we don't believe on those, because we believe that every human being can be changed and be corrected. But we don't have responsibility beyond the conscience of human being. But what we do, we appeal to their conscience to say, you can't live life of crime, because that is actually dangerous for yourself, your family, and the community at large. We have capacity in the department, and we're doing very well. We might have shortcomings in terms of other things that are not in our control. For instance, we have people who have made decisions that they want to live the life of crime. We can't appeal to those conscious. We appeal to conscious of those who are ready to be rehabilitated.
Right. Pastor Maloka, perhaps you could join in the conversation. Mr. Navari speaks of spirituality, saying they can only do so much. Just because they have offered this program to rehabilitate ex-offenders doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen beyond what they have done as a department. Where do you come in as an Age of Ministries, particularly here at Dream Team Foundation?
As a ministry, we believe that the total the totality grounding of a person is his spirituality. So as the ministry, we have partnered with a couple of people that are helping in as far as the issue is concerned that you just raised. And we're working also closely with the Department of Correctional Services. And I can affirm as an ex-offender myself, I got the programs in prison, especially the spiritual side of the programs that the department is running. We believe as a church that we need to work together. We cannot do, or rather this issue is not an issue that can be dealt with only privately or individually. We need to work as a team to combat this so-called crime in our country.
Right, so it's a holistic approach. I suppose that's what you're saying. Is this where you found your faith, in prison?
I went to prison being, you know, there's so much that is going on inside the person as an individual. But when I went there, I found myself. And I realized that finding myself, I understand the crux core of finding myself, which was the spirituality in me, meaning the God that I found that directed me and enabled me to lead the life that I'm living today.
Very profound. Finding yourself, very important, so you can know where you're going.
Yes.
Councillor, how has been the rehabilitation of ex-offenders worked out in this community?
Let me start by saying thanks to Dream Team. As Ward 37, like I've just said, that we are a ward of excellence. What I mean in terms of excellence is that we partner with a lot of NGOs. One of these NGOs is Dream Team. And when the Dream Team come here, they had their only little stand in Extension 10, where they're doing some bakeries. But Mama Shell had a time with us, and he explained to us what he want to do in this community. Let me tell you, in the 3 years she have been here, we have seen change in the community. People that we thought they are criminals today, those people are better people in the society. What they are doing, they are training them. They end up bringing them back to us. We take them to the program of EPWP and other projects. What I want to also say to you is that as the ward, we have realized when we donate this land now it's in produce, whatever they're producing here, community are benefiting. Now in short, what I will say, the Dream Team, if other areas like department have just said, if they can also meet with other NGOs in other areas, do what the Dream Team is doing here, this is very marvelous, because once people are not going out and need work, job creation is happening here. Now, in short, what I want to say is that I've just realized that what the Dream Team will bring to us, if we can do it in other areas, we can change our society. Lastly, let's also indicate, I don't know if Dream Team have given it in terms of numbers. We have seen many people coming here becoming better people. We have seen people writing books. Others are also writing books about myself in my time from the same Dream Team. Now I'm saying, if we can assist, the department can assist the Dream Team, we can see the good things out of the Dream Team. And as Ward 37, we are celebrating the life of the Dream Team to be here, because of in few years they've been here. You can just see yourself. When we donate this land to them, we thought they are going to do a small thing, but it's become a big thing.
Absolutely. I see all the work that has been done here. If we can get our camera person to pan, there's a lot of vegetables that have been planted. Obviously, there's some good work that is happening here. I want to come to you, Bongani. It's very important that you're here, because the reason that we're here is to try and discuss how ex-offenders found themselves in these positions where they make wrong choices in life, but more importantly, how they come back and they become, you know, a meaningful part of the community. Tell us about your story.
Well, Audrey, thank you so much. Much appreciate the opportunity. Well, it's I'll refer back to choice. You know, it's a personal choice that one makes, and life is a series of choices, and every choice that you make today will affect your future, whether negative or positive. I grew up without my father. He left me while I was 2 years of age, and then growing up with my mom, life was hard because I'm from the streets. At some point in my life, I used to eat in the dustbins, and then I used to sleep in the streets with cardboards and plastic and all that. And then I never went to crime because of peer pressure and all that, but I went to crime because of the harsh effects of poverty. And it married me in another words. When it proposed to me, I got married to crime, and then there's nothing in crime industry that I did not do. And back to choices. Prison, I started to enter prison while I was still young at a very early age, and I used to go in and out like going to the toilet. Now, Audrey, you'll realize that as a person, you come to a point whereby you have to make a self-introspection because of while I was in prison, I was a 26 gangster member, and then we had robbed somebody inside, and then we were taken to isolation cell.
How young were you? Sorry to interrupt you, but the first time that you entered prison, how young were you?
I was arrested in a police station cell. I was 12. Because living in the streets, there were times whereby I would see a police van passing, and then I'll take a brick and make like I'm about to break into the shop so that they can arrest me and take me to prison. Because now in prison, at least I know what I'll have: a shelter, I'll have blankets, I'll have food. That's how prison life got into me. And then while I was inside there, I was introduced to different types of gangsterism. And then I started smoking at the age of 12 as well, because I was smoking glue. I was smoking PP, I was smoking turpentine. There's nothing that I didn't smoke that is smokable. Even apple seeds. I've smoked apple seeds while I was also in prison. So now, the point that I want to get into is the fact that for me to be here where I am today, I mean, I was released in 2006. Since 1999 when I was arrested up until 2006. Now I'll tell you why I'm quoting the dates, because now that's very much important because of the choice that I made while I was inside. Back to my story. We were taken to isolation cells whereby we were put, like isolation cell is like a prison inside prison.
Right.
They take you outside of the community of other prisoners to isolate you. And that is where I got to think and to reflect back on the things that I've done in my past. There are two questions, Audrey, that I asked myself. The first question that I asked myself was, do I enjoy this kind of lifestyle, going in and out of prison, like going to the toilet? And the second question that I asked myself, which is more important like the first one, was, what kind of a father am I going to be when I grow up? And at that time, there was a song playing by Yolanda Adams, and then it goes like, when I think about you, Lord, I forget about everything else. It's only you and I. But now the song I've substituted the word Lord, I've put the name of my girlfriend Tembi. And right in there, the Spirit of the Lord had an appointment with me without discussing with the head of prison that today I want to go and see and visit Ubongan. And I remember, Audrey, that day I had to make a choice. It was a matter of life and death because I was tired. After asking myself a whole lot of questions, I was tired.
And I think it speaks to what you said, Mr. Navari, that there can be a lot of programs in place. Also, Pastor alluded to that. But it has to come from within for you to want to make a change in your life, and you have to know who you are for you to want to do that. But would you appreciate that as an ex-offender, do you feel there were programs within the criminal justice system that helped you to empower you or to make you change your mindset to become a better person? Or is it something that just resonated within yourself all by yourself? And maybe your spirituality, like you have said?
It's pointless getting into a program not to find yourself first. First, you need to discover who you are and find yourself. Then when you get into program, you know exactly what you want. Like, for instance, you can't be doing a motor mechanic where else you haven't found what you want. You know, so programs are there and they are very good because in a way they kind of like light something in you and say, man, look, there's something that you can do with your life rather than engaging into criminal activities.
Right, there's a first round with our panel there. Time to talk to the audience. Welcome everyone and greetings. Thank you for coming to the show. If we have any contributions, please feel free to lift up your hand. A microphone will come to you, and we'll be happy to have you be a part of this conversation. Anyone?
Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. I'm also an ex. I don't know where to start with my testimony, but I was sentenced to life imprisonment. I'm out by the grace of God. The problem lies within a person. You cannot release a wounded offender. You have to know that for us to be inside, it means that we have offended somebody outside. It does not matter if it's a company or it's a franchise, but somebody is offended. That is why we are inside. So we have to start by forgiving ourselves. If we can't forgive ourselves, then it means that we are going to go outside. Then when we hear words like a prisoner, banditi, then that thing is going to create more pain in us. Then we will end up going back into prison. But if we can start to forgive ourselves for what we did, I mean, gone are those days. If you can meet with me, I was going to tell you how easy it is to make money, and you will realize how important money is. You are going to follow me, but I came into a decision where I say, you know what, God is a personal God, and he's going to change me. Some people will not understand because God did not spoke with them. God spoke with me personally that I had to take a decision, and I had to heal, and I had to forgive. That is why today I am where I am by the grace of God.
But perhaps we should have more churches than prisons then, because it appears spirituality is what's working and not prisons. Just a second, so yes, we'll come back to you. I'm just curious to find out how, if families have been supportive when their family members come back home, and if even the community itself, has it been forgiving, or is it so angry that a person feels like, look, I have nowhere to go to, I'd rather go back to prison and commit crime?
Just to share on the point that you are raising, maybe first let me start on the spirituality part. I think as a society, as a community of South Africa, we need to admit that the most subscribed program in correctional facilities is spiritual programs. You can check for statistics, you can check for anything. Mostly, many of the offenders subscribe to some spiritual program. And I think that's where they begin to find themselves. Right.
Because that speaks to the core of a human being.
That speaks to the human being. That
is
speaks to yourself as a person. So the second thing that I just need to share, so I'm saying this so that the parole boards, the National Council for Correctional Services, because they rely heavily on psychological reports and social work reports. We are not saying their work is not important, but we need to emphasize on what works.
And also not to take away from the fact that the community has been offended. The community feels they have been hurt. And, it's not easy for them also to get to that point where they can forgive the offenders. So I guess it's a two-way street. Just to remind our viewers, we're coming to you from Soshanguve. This is sImbizo. We are at a Dream Team Foundation, an NGO that works with ex-offenders to try to rehabilitate them. And you at home, thank you for joining in as you're watching. We're talking to the audience and trying to get their take on the issue as well.
I'd like to thank my councillor and the Dream Team to bring one of these programs in our ward. This is a nice thing to our community, and we would like to say to other people to tell them that if they like to be combined with the community, they must start things like this to make people, those who are in prison, if they come back, they know where they are going, or maybe they can find some job. And our councillor is one of the good leader. He started this thing, we were saying, what he's trying to do there, what's happening. But now we can see in our community, we want to say, thanks to the councillor, this is a nice thing.
Well done, Councillor Monhla. Clearly, you're very popular here. No doubt, there's many testimonies that a lot has been done with regards to the NGOs that are taking care of these ex-offenders. Do we have any more reactions coming from the crowd?
Thanks very much. I'm Thomas from Samarala Funeral Parlor. I'm a partner with the Age of Hope. When I first came here, I saw hope. I spoke with Mayor Julia. But all I can say is correctional service, the community, and the country at large, we need each other. What these guys are saying is telling us, we might say there is no God, but I'm laughing. I have spoken with some of these guys. They've changed. That's why Samarola Funeral Parlor, we are partners. Some of these guys, soon, once we have finished what we are doing, they are coming on board. We are going to employ them. For as long as this ministry is here, we are here. And as a country, as a community, there is our councillor there. Let's go, my brother. Let's build this country. We can, and we will. And those ex-offenders, we need you guys. Some of our brothers are hooked to Nyaupe, There is a new thing here called the Bluetooth. Come on, guys. You know about it better than we do. I have 3 girls. Who is going to marry my children if our fellow young brothers are going and are being eaten by prisoners? But together, Age of Hope and Dream Team Foundation with Samarola Funeral Parlor and the community around here will take this head on and will save our country. Small as we might be, we are going somewhere. And to Ma Julia, let's go for it, Mama. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much for that contribution. Just the amount of hope and love that comes from this community is so encouraging. And I'll tell you this, we actually did a show a few weeks ago here in Soshanguve with regards to the issue of drugs within our community. Of course, you know, it all ties down to criminality and how this, because everything we're talking about now is reactive measures. But if trying to be proactive to make sure there isn't so much crime in our community is really a topic for another day. I want to come back to you, Mr. Navada. You were itching to say something.
Yeah. No, look, I'm actually impressed by the words that are coming from the ex-offenders. And it actually made me to quickly jump into this issue with relate to how communities should actually welcome back these people who have offended against them. We have, as a department, take it upon ourselves through what we call the white paper on correction, which we adopted as a paradigm shift from prisons to corrections. That part of the things that we should be doing is to ensure that we restore relations. Restoring relations through the program called Restorative Justice, which is in the top agenda of both the Minister and Deputy Minister and the Commission of Correctional Services, to ensure that we actually interact deeply with the offenders themselves from the center level, to say you have actually offended someone outside and many other people in that community. What we need from you is to ensure that you actually go and explain yourself. And we work through that program through social work and spiritual care to say, go work yourself. If you find inside you, in your conscience, that you want to go and narrate why you killed that person, why you killed the father of someone, why you killed a mother of someone, tell us. We are going to actually make sure that we get the victims you've offended to come and talk to you so that you are able to restore the relations amongst yourselves.
Yes.
We don't only do that with the people who are offended directly. They are what we call secondary offenders, secondary victims. Secondary victims to us is the community at large. So we are saying to those who do not understand that we are doing actual good work inside there, to come and actually listen to the testimony of these people who said, look, I raped your sister, I killed your mother, I killed your father. I want to tell you what happened the day this thing happened. And in that way, we're actually healing society. We're actually making sure that people who have actually make these mistakes don't re-offend back, because you will have cleaned your conscience to say, I have offended, but I want to come clean society, that I did it and this is how I did it and I want you to forgive me. Right. The intentions, therefore, is not only to forgive, by the way, because we know some people would say, no, I don't want to talk to you, I don't want you to come next to me, you have murdered my mother. But we want people to understand that if we are to build a crime-free society, where it starts amongst ourselves as South Africans, to conversate amongst ourselves. What caused us to commit crime? Why these people commit the crime that they committed? But beyond that, Audrey, just to share with you before you conclude your show, we have introduced a few programs. One of them is what we call community correction forums. Community correction forums are found in communities with all sectors and all stakeholders around in the community. Those responsibilities of those people is to make sure that we bring along everybody in the community to work in the business of correction. But also we have brought what we call...
When you say in the business of correction, what exactly do you mean? And has that been successful?
Yes, what we mean the business of correction, we mean, for example, what we are saying now, that community will release an offender who is highly rehabilitated, who is a pastor like a pastor here, Brian. But people will not trust that Brian indeed is a pastor. They will think, no, this person is still a criminal. How do we trust him? So community correction forums, among other things, discuss how communities should embrace these people that we release from our centers to make sure that they get a soft landing when they come back. If you are to push them away, what they will do is to come back to our centers. We don't want that. So our programs are working.
Back to the same community and commit crime and offend again.
Exactly. So we don't want communities to reject these people. They must bring them close to them, work with them like Pastor Aubrey. The work that they are doing is a signal that our work indeed is making progress in society. The last part that I wanted us to touch on, Audrey, is the aspect that relates to what we call victim-offender dialogue forums.
Right.
You see, what we do on those forums is that we combine all the important necessities that deals with the appeals of the conscience of humankind. But we do those things with the thinking behind our mind that if you don't appeal spiritual, like we said, if you don't appeal consciously in terms of what you have done, there's no way that we are going to be able to achieve our objectives of
And
corrections.
I'll ask you to hold on to that thought as we have to take a very short break again. This is People's sImbizo, brought to you by ANN7. We're coming to you from soshanguve. Dream Team Foundation is the location where we're at. We're talking of rehabilitation of ex-offenders and, of course, the reintegration back into society. After the break, we'll talk about the issue of overcrowding in prisons, the issue of devices that monitors them, and the issue also of the ones that are on parole, how they're monitored and how they're also in the society, if they can go back to work and be with their families, and if all this helps with the scourge of rehabilitating ex-prisoners. You're watching ANN7. It's time for a break. We'll be back in a moment. A warm welcome back to your program, People's sImbizo, brought to you by ANN7. If you have just joined us, I'm your host, Audrey Chimwanda. We are in Soshanguve. This place is called Dream Team Foundation. It takes care of ex-offenders. It empowers them to become better people in society as they try to reintegrate back to their families and back to their communities. And also, if you have just joined us, I'll just recap on our panel. We have from the Department of Correctional Services, we have Mr. Gerson Navari, also Director of Community Outreach Program. We have also Pastor Brian Maloka. He is from Age of Hope Ministries. We also have a councillor of Ward 37 here in Soshanguve. That's a councillor Spiwe Montla, and an ex-offender Bongani Shabangu, who's managed to turn his life around, who's been sharing his story with us. Also, we have the audience that are interacting with us here and there. I want to come back to you, Mr. Navari. Just before the break, you were talking to us again about the issue of spirituality. I think this is the issue that we have seen that really works when it comes to human beings, because really, as human beings, we're moved by emotions, feelings, and the spirit within, and that's what needs to be looked into.
Part of the challenge that, and I think many of us have been speaking about it here, why do we have prisons than churches? The fundamentals are that for you to take a drug addict to a drug rehab, a drug addict must have accepted that I'm an addict. If you just pick up someone and drop them to a drug addict center without them accepting that they're indeed drug addicts, you will never rehabilitate them. So the fact of the matter is that those who are in our centers, they might have been worse in their lifetime, but the fact that they found themselves spiritually, it makes them rethink about the act they committed outside.
Right.
So in our thinking is that's why we put it as part of our performance agreement, a performance indicator, that those who are in our centers and the partnership that we have with churches outside and those who have been in our centers is to ensure that people who are inside our centers found themselves spiritually. That's why we allow them to actually run programs in our centers.
Right. I want Councillor Montla to come into this. You wanted to react to certain...
I wanted to say something special on the issue of how do the community welcome these people. You know, the main issue is that I think us as leaders, we need to educate our people. What we are doing when we address mass meeting, we've got program of addressing mass meeting areas. We are talking about these things and telling the people the truth in terms of the program the department have. And from there, our community will understand. And I think one of the department, they're spending the energy in terms of looking on the victims. It's also the area of the family, how the family welcome the person when he come back. Because at the end of the day, this person must go back to his mother who know that he committed 1, 2, 3. How do we deal with that? Now I'm saying the big thing is that how do we talk to our community and how do we get that response from our community? But I'm happy what that is saying in terms of that dialogue within the community. Because if you're going to improve that dialogue, let me tell you, our work is going to be easy. Even as persons coming back from as my family coming home, I know what's going to happen and I can take them to their program. Lastly, I want to also indicate one thing that I think there was also a question there. I think one of the important things is that when we talk to the community, let's make sure that they understand the language that we are speaking. One, because if you are taking a person in terms of the big ways that you are going to talk, one thing, you take a person to church, you talk about God. But at the end of the day, that person will need an education. What kind of education, formal or informal? I normally tell people in an address meeting, I say, God will speak to a person that is educated. And I'm willing to be engaged. Because once a person is educated, he will end up reading Bible, he can end up driving a flight and everything. That person is starting to understand himself. What about a person who have never been in school? How are you going to reach that stage? And I'm saying it's a responsibility of the community that when this person come, how do we deal? And leadership within the community, we've got a lot of response to do that. Lastly, the issue of churches. It depends on the kind of church we have. There's a church that will say, we don't want this person. There's a church that will say, in terms of their culture and all those things, their religion doesn't accept these people. I'm saying we must also look what kind of church we're talking about. Like we're talking about the Dream Team, they've got a church. The church is welcoming everybody. Especially we're talking about the issue of Nyaupe. The church is also doing the program in terms of that. Now it depends what kind of church. It's not only building churches, and on these churches you know what the churches are doing. Now I'm saying the responsibility of leadership, we've got a lot of responsibility to do, especially to educate our people.
Right, thank you, Councillor Bongani. I want to come to you. Did you take up any academic classes when you're in prison? Did you think that was something that could help you, or it's not something that you're interested in?
Well, after I found myself, Audrey, inside, I realized that I need education. And as you can hear, my English surpasses even the audience. You know, I speak better English than all of you. Yeah, so what happened is I did some courses inside. And then out of the courses, and then I realized that these were the building blocks.
I just want to come to Pastor Maloka, just going back to the spirituality part. The difference within Christianity and their beliefs and their morals, to say, you know, there are people who are accepting of ex-offenders and there are others who practice a totally different kind of Christianity. How do we find ourselves in this position?
As a church, and I'm glad that this issue of spirituality is roaming around.
It has taken over. I think that there's the Holy Spirit that's moving around this stage today.
We are a church that is community-based. We are a church that believes that, God himself says, come to me as laden as you are. So who are we to judge? We are not in that level of judging people. Now, as Age of Hope Ministries, I'm glad the director spoke of so many things like VOP program. We as a church and the Age of Hope Ministries already were involved in that program. I think even on Sunday, there are people that will be visiting our church. We've got a food program here when on every Sunday, we feed the community. So we are inviting everybody in this ministry because we believe it is by the grace that we have received what we have received, and we believe in work. We are not a lazy church. As you can see around, we partner with people who believe in work because we believe that work uprights the purpose of a person. I mean, if you don't work, you cannot live.
The lazy mind is the home of the devil. But have you ever had, Pastor, any ex-offenders that come to your ministry and you try to help them rehabilitate themselves, have self-introspection, but they just go back to the community and do the same thing? What is the rate, just looking at the people that you've worked with?
I can tell you that we pride ourselves with working with ex-offenders. We go around in prisons, we visit. But I tell you, I've got Babs Kakan Lap.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
We know him very well. He's a friend of the show.
Yes. So we've got plenty of them that came and they can testify to the open-hearted kind of approach that we have as a ministry. Because we believe in 3 Ds. You know, we always say that. My pastor always say that discover yourself, develop yourself, and demonstrate yourself. And we believe that people have got a potential, God-given potential, and which is a gift, and that needs to be enhanced. So we as a church, we are saying, partner with us. Why? Because we need something that is in you, and we also believe we can give something that is in us.
Right.
So as a church, we just welcome everybody.
You have hope and belief.
Yes.
Very beautiful. Just a reminder to our viewers at home who have just joined us. This is ANN7. You're watching People's sImbizo. We're coming to you from Soshanguve. We're coming to you from the Dream Team Foundation. Speaking of which, I'd love to invite Skakane Bongani to join in the conversation. We are here within the location of a place that you're doing wonderful things. Perhaps you could talk to us about some of the work that you're doing here, what progress you've made, and what message you have for the ex-convicts perhaps that are out there that are watching, and for communities who have had ex-offenders come back in their community and they're just still apprehensive. They don't know what to do with them. What needs to happen?
Audrey, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity for me to come and speak on behalf of the Dream Team Foundations. Firstly, I just want to address something. You see, as an ex-convict, I've realized that there is a difference between being convinced and being convicted. So the time I was in prison, I realized that the programs inside the prisons, they can only just convince a person, but they cannot change the person internally, you know. But I've realized that when I came across Christ in my life, inside the prison, Christ brought a conviction. Now, conviction means it's a total turnaround, it's a total change, it's a total transformation. All right, coming on outside life, as a young person, I came back, joined Dream Team Foundation. Basically, what we do here, we in-house young people that they are from prison, of course, that they used to be in conflict with the law. What we do here, we are training them. Number one, we realize that we cannot have young people in our midst if they are not spiritually fit, because you need to be spiritually fit in order to live around a society that they can try to stigmatize you. Like if people, they say, you bandit, you are from prison. But if you've got the spiritual, you know, guards and the spiritual laws that they govern your totalness, then you are able to stand against such things. Number two, when we have empowered them spiritually, then we ensure that now they are ready and fit for them to take them to do something like the garden. We also take some of them to the bakery, they do bakery. And the very same bakery is a bakery that also serves people of the community. We've got the grannies that they are not working around the surroundings. Those are the bread that they are being done by the ex-convict. They themselves, they're taking those bread into those homes. We don't just give them bread. How wonderful it is, Sis Audrey. We will also give them prayers. Say, God, this is the bread that was baked, but that the boys that they're from prison. Even one thing that I want to say, thank you for the society and the community we live around. They've never, not even a single day, they stigmatize people that are from this foundation. So we are looking forward, Sis Audrey, to be honest with you. We also have a halfway house where we've got something like 16 guys there. They are from prison. Some of them, they don't know who their fathers are. Some of them, they don't have homes. They don't have anywhere to go. They will constantly call Mama Julia to say, Mama, on a certain dates, I'll be going out. I don't have anybody to sign for me. So it is Mama Julia's responsibility to ensure that it is going to take a risk of signing for somebody that they don't even know who they are. But simply because of we've got the heart for the people who are inside the prison, since well, we know how hard it is to be in prison. They will come back, and when they come back, I'm not saying the correctional, they don't do anything for us, but I'm trying to say, we don't have the support. Number one, to give them clothes, to give them food. They have a shelter to stay. They have programs that they do, and they are tired to eat this cabbage and pap every day. They need meat as well. And we can't afford the meat. We are simply saying, please, by all humbleness, if there are people out there who are carrying best interest to come on board and ensure that they want to assist us as a society, that we want to make change all over this place, please do come on board, because change is a societal responsibility and we need each other to make a change.
But very well spoken there. Thank you for that contribution. We certainly appreciate it. Very profound indeed. I just want to ask a direct question to our audience members, you know, the members of this community. I know you would say it's one thing for ex-offenders when they come back to our community to demand things, to say, you know, we want clothes, we want this and that. As the community, what do you want to see from ex-offenders when they come back home?
Yeah, as a community, I've realized most of the thing from the community, there's too much rejection in our community. So when you reject a person, it's difficult sometimes. You must accommodate him. As a community, let us love all these people. I can guarantee you, since I have come and joined this team, at least there's not a day that I say to somebody, let us go to Dream Team, and Mama Julia said, no, I don't want this. Why she said this?
That's where Mama Julia is. We need to talk to Mama Julia. We'll come to Mama Julia in a bit. She's obviously very influential in this program. Yes.
She accommodates everybody. So if a person doesn't want to change, you can't force a person to change. But as a parent, give him that love. Forget about the past and start building him for a new life so that he can continue to live another life. That's the only thing that can bring us back so that we can change the community. If we don't embrace them and show them love, they will also still go back to crime. And at the end of the time, we are going to complain and say, crime is up, drugs and this and this and this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that contribution. I certainly appreciate it. where does the responsibility lie more, with the offender, the ex-offender, or the community to make this relationship work? I suppose that's, yes, I promise I'll come back to you.
Yeah. This is a wonderful session, I must just say. But in answer to that question, Audrey, the people out there should give the ex-cons, which you call the prison graduates, they must give them a second chance, because God is a God of a second chance. That is what you tell the people. If you look at your watch, there are seconds, which means every second God is giving you a second chance. And when Jesus said, I didn't come for the righteous, but I came for those who are wrong, he was talking to all the wrong guys anyway. He didn't say you just like them, but he knew for a fact that you are the last ones to say that. But because he was a mild person, Paul, he says, I didn't come for the righteous people, but those who are not righteous. Therefore, we are saying as a church, we will be guilty when the people are released from prison and we don't have a relationship with them, we don't have a fellowship with them, we don't have a friendship with them except Titanic ship. We have got these people right in the dark walls. We were with them, so when they come out, it's a continuation as a church. Not to say, you're the last one to pray for me because you never came to see me. When the Bible says to all the churches, when I was hungry, you never fed me. When I was naked, you never clothed me. When I was in prison, you never came to see me. We normally call it prison anyway. It's a correctional service, because those correctional centers, I like my Ndebele language in correctional. Ubulungiswa besimilo. It means the attitude is corrected, the conduct is corrected, the behavior is corrected. He's a new person. It's a new him. He has discovered himself. You still want to live in his past. He's no more staying in the past. Ututile, he's no more there. So therefore, give them a second chance.
I think somehow, the government doesn't see the importance of an ex-offender or maybe an inmate. You know that inside the prison, we've got the prosecutor, we've got the lawyers, we've got those people who are doing upholstery. There are some who are doing the engineering. There are some who are doing the ITC. There are so many people that are very skillful. So now, when I was sit down one day, I'm asking myself, why should government doesn't open a resource center when the inmates came out, so that who does the upholstery can go to that resource center and then do the sofas, you name it, and everything, and so that they can sell it to various shops. Some other that are doing the IT, so that they can help also the government about the IT. There are some who are the magistrate. We've got some other magistrates that are resigning, so that they can put some other guys there to be the magistrate. Right. We've got the potential inside the prison. But now the question is, why they can't build a resource center so that the South Africa as a whole can never be in a crisis that we are in? Because the crisis that we are in the country of a crime, a high crime. But if you allow them to go and work, let me tell you, we will never see the crime high rate anymore here. Right. Because now we allow them, we put them into a resource center so that they can work. By the end of the day, you will see. You will see things that were going to happen.
You know, thank you, my brother, for that contribution. You know, I've always believed that the government is by the people, for the people. The people are more important than the government. You know, we can't leave it to the government. It's up to us to make sure that the government changes, because they're here for us. If we feel they need to change certain policies, then we have to mobilize and make sure that that happens. Mr. Nava, you wanted to respond to the issue of people that are skilled in prisons, but they have no certificate to prove it. What's the point if you go outside the world?
Yeah, I want to start here, Audrey, that we must always remember that all of us were potential offenders. So there's no point for the community to reject others who have offended and rehabilitated. But secondly, we must know amongst ourselves that all of us were potential rehabilitators as well. So that is the work that we must carry through as part of our contribution to a humane society in South Africa. But the point you are raising, which is very critical, is that, look, we have made an undertaking on legislative processes that we want to introduce what we call a Second Chance Act. That's one. Two is that we have also spoke about the aspect that relates to what we called criminal Criminal Procedures Act, which details the manner in which we sentence people and how criminal record expungement is done. We have actually identified it as a problem because it hinders our work of rehabilitation. So many of those who come out of our centers are unable to be absorbed by the economy because they've got criminal records. So we are
but
saying,
is that not part of the punitive measures that you put in place to make sure that you don't commit crime, because if you do, you always have a criminal record, and it'll always be just a sword that's hanging above your head. How does that work both ways?
It is a contradiction. In fact, it's standing directly opposite to what we seek to achieve as the Department of Correctional Services. So we want to meet this process halfway. We are saying I can't have, and I like the example of an apple. I can't have said because I was hungry, I stole an apple, and after stealing an apple I get sentenced, and I stay for 10 years before my criminal record can be expunged. I mean, it's quite unfair. So we're saying that we need to categorize crimes and say on the basis of what you have committed, at least you can wait for a month, or not even sentenced at all. Get sentenced to what we call community services and not get criminal records.
Is this a system that you have in place, or you're considering?
No, we are working on
it?
The Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, Minister Masuta, in the budget vote of 2015, spoke about colloquium on criminal record expungement. So the criminal justice cluster is working on the process of amending the Criminal Procedure Act. But that process is ongoing. We have not arrived at the conclusion of the act itself.
Right.
But we are working on it. Second part is that we have taken through many of our inmates to skills development programs. They are certified, many of them. But many of them, when they're certified, particularly on the vocational side and the technical skill side, there are those that have not get what we call trade test. We are now partnering with the
trade test. Would you
the
like
trade test, yes. The trade test is the test that you go through if you are an artisan. You have trained in boiler making.
Right.
You get taken to what we call the trade test processes.
Trade test.
Trade test, yeah, to be certified as a boiler maker. So we have partners now with the sitters. And I think from now onwards there was a process of advertisement by the department to say we need accredited trainers who will then actually take our people inside through the entire process of arriving at a point where they get a trade test. And this is a complementary work, Audrey. It includes that work of second chance, the work of the criminal record expungement, and the work of certification of those that have taken through the work in our centers. So we are working on that. You will see the movement moving forward, that the Department of Correctional Services is going to be starting to work on that process. So we have identified that problem as part of our work, moving forward. So we're going to arrive at a point where we certify them, but also take them through the process of second chance of getting them back to communities to work without criminal record.
That would be counterproductive, isn't it? If the department is spending so much money in skilling these ex-offenders, or offenders rather, if they're still in the correctional service, not in prison, then it doesn't help if they can't use those skills outside. I want to go back to the audience.
The last part before you go in. Look, we are also lobbying private companies. We have had many meetings with big companies. So that they are able also to absorb those people. There's no need for us to train so many people and put so much money. And then we don't utilize those skills. And the country is in dire need of skills. I can tell you now that our prisons, like he said, is a jewel. There are many intelligent people there. There are brilliant skills there. And because of these limitations, we're not utilizing them.
Right.
We are working very hard.
Presidents there, they're people's husbands there, girls out there waiting to get married.
Like I say,
thinking,
me and you, Audrey, we are potential offenders. Me and you can be inside tomorrow morning.
Yes.
And these skills that we have must be utilized by society. We can't close them in. So we're working hard to go to that level of ensuring that people know that we're in the business of correction, nothing else.
Absolutely. Let's go back to the audience. Let's have more contributions. Let's join in the conversation.
I'm saying to all the mothers out there that please let us stand on our feet. God called us. We were the first to be called to this great task of bringing souls back,
Absolutely.
of bringing people back to God. But we relax. So how can they come?
A very powerful speech, ma'am. Thank you so much for your contribution. We certainly appreciate that. Final remarks, Mr. Navari, very quickly as we close. I'll start with you.
Thank you very much, Audrey. And I want to say as a parting shot that as the department, we want to call upon society broadly, the NGO, NPOs, churches, companies that are willing to contribute in the employment of ex-offenders to come and partner with the Department of Correctional Services. We've made it clear that this is a societal responsibility and we can't achieve it alone. In line with the vision of the NDP, we seek to build a crime-free society where everybody else lives in harmony and peace.
Right. Thank you. I feel we won't have done justice if we don't ask Mama Julia to just address us just for a few minutes. I mean, just the stories we've heard today, the work that you have done, I think is very commendable. If you'd like to speak to our viewers, people that are at home, ex-offenders that are trying to find their way into society, and community members as well that don't know how to deal with people that have been rehabilitated or that haven't been rehabilitated, that are just trying to find their way back.
I just want to thank everybody who's here. And I want to thank Ntate Councillor Spiwe and Correctional Services and Baruti ba bohle ba balemo. And the work I'm doing it with passion. I was once incarcerated for 7 years awaiting trial in Koshimampur prison. And this, I adopted this from there because there were so many people came to prison all the time, going out, coming in. I was there for 7 years waiting trial, no bail. I completed that 7 years and I was acquitted, saying, go home, you're not guilty. And what I'm doing it with all my heart. And I beg today, I'm happy the correctional officers are here to support me. I've been doing this since I was released from prison with no support from them. I'm doing this with all what I have. The bakery I'm helping the ex-offenders who come from prison without places. And I do have a halfway house which is not supported by the government and by the correctional services. I'm not supported. I'm begging them today to say, I'm sure they saw what I'm doing.
Mama Julie, do you think it's more of a challenge for ex-offenders, female ex-offenders, to come back to society? Do you think there's a difference when it comes to male ex-offenders, how they're received?
Yes, I did receive female offenders. But female offenders sometimes they are not like men. You know, men, they take orders. If you ask them to do something, they do. And female offenders, sometimes, you know, ladies, how we are. Sometimes she cannot tell me anything. This one, she's from there, where I come from. So they are like that. But I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Without the financial support from the department, I'm repeating this. Without the financial support from Department of Correctional Services, Gauteng. And I thank you, my counselor. You are helping me. And I'm thanking all the pastors which are in this ministry, which are changing people's lives. If you see people like Bonganes, you can, if you can stay with them more than 30 minutes, they will explain what they are going through.
Thank you, Mama Julie, for your testimony. We certainly appreciate it. As we're running out of time, very quickly, Pastor, also just final parting words from you as we close what has become a church service, or shall we say a sermon today.
No, as a church, I would say much has been said. We have witnessed what the Dream Team and the Age of Hope ministries are doing. We are saying to everybody, our doors are open. Come, let's sit down. We believe that our country has got a problem, but churches have got a solution. We need mostly the Department of Correctional Services. I speak as an ex-offender. There's so much that we can say about them, but we don't want to spoil the mood. We are opening our arms. We are saying to you guys, come on board. This is not only our sole responsibility, and I'm holding him responsible for the promise he has made. And if he cannot keep it, I will call you.
I was taking notes.
Thank you, sir.
I have everything here. Thank you, Pastor, for those closing remarks. Councillor,
thanks
what are your
a lot.
parting words?
One is that I want to say thank you, everyone who's been here, especially the department and yourself from the media house, because today I'll call you a progressive media house. But I want to say other leadership somewhere else who can see the show, they must come and learn from us. I think where we are sitting, I can't blame the department. They play their role and they're still playing their role. I think, Pastor, also, you have played your role, and the committee have played their role. What I can say to you is that in Ward 37, we have called ourselves a Ward of Excellencies because everything that we are doing in terms of making sure that we prove a point. Lastly, I will say, if any department commit themselves here, we will follow them. We know where they are. Any commitment ever relaying, we'll make sure that they are going to implement. But at last, I'll say, membership, you are safe here. To be with us, you are at the Ward of Excellence. Things will happen. And I hope next time when you come here, you must come, this event become big, calling other people seeing what you are doing, and make sure that we are changing the society. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Bongani, parting words.
Well, thank you so much, Audrey, and thanks everyone who has been here. Well, let me say this in closure. As an ex-offender, it has been hard. It has never been an easy journey. But things started to change when I've joined eDream Team and Age of Hope Ministries, Umama Julie Obvious, of course. Because now, you see, when you have to go to deliver a speech, because I'm a motivational speaker as well. When you have to go to school, from school to school, you need transportation money to do that. And now she's doing that out of her own pocket. Like you can see now, we are wearing happy socks. It's you know, to look representable. These are the things that you don't get from the community and the other stakeholders. But she's doing it from, out of nothing, as you can see now. But we would like to thank Yena specifically and the team as well, and may she continue to do what she's doing. From Soweto to here, I couldn't be here if she couldn't contribute in the petrol money to be here. So that petrol money, can you imagine where it's coming from?
Right.
You know, so thank you so much, and thank you to the team, and thank you to the to you guys as well.
Bongani, we wish you all the best on your journey. Obviously, you've started off very well. I hope you're an inspiration to all the ex-offenders out there who are trying to change their lives. It is possible. It can be done. You just need to look within yourselves. And it's to the community members who are trying, or perhaps, again, apprehensive about reintegrating with people that have offended. Who are we if we're not one? We need each other, and it's very important that we open our hearts to that. This has been People's sImbizo, brought to you by ANN7. Thank you so much for watching the program and for joining in the conversation. I know you've been tweeting, and we certainly appreciate that from myself, Audrey Shimwanda, and the team behind the scenes. Goodbye.